The massive warship cut through the darkness of space like a blade, its black hull absorbing nearby starlight. Inside, Commander Frost stood tall among his fellow Ravagers, his scaled armor gleaming under the ship's dim lights. His claws clicked against the metal floor as he walked to the bridge's main viewport, watching distant stars blur past. The Ravagers had ruled the galaxy for over 10,000 years. They were the perfect hunters, born with natural armor stronger than steel, claws that could tear through spacecraft hulls, and minds sharp enough to master space travel. Every species they met became their prey, and every prey eventually fell. "Commander," growled his second-in-command, Steel, "we've detected signals from an unexplored arm of the galaxy. The energy patterns suggest a developing civilization." Frost's mouth curved into what his species considered a smile, revealing rows of metallic-looking teeth. "Show me," he ordered, his deep voice echoing across the bridge. The main screen lit up with data streams and signal patterns. The bridge crew worked silently, their clawed hands moving across control panels. They were the elite of the Ravager fleet, chosen for their hunting skills and battle experience. Each of them bore scars from countless victories, marks of pride in their culture. "The signals are primitive compared to ours," reported the sensor officer. "They mostly use radio waves and basic digital transmissions. Their vessels run on chemical fuel and basic ion engines." Frost laughed, a sound like grinding stones. "Barely out of their nest. Perfect." He pulled up the star charts, studying the location of this new prey. The hunting fleet behind his command ship carried enough firepower to destroy continents. They had never failed to break a civilization's will to fight. The commander thought back to his first hunt, centuries ago. He had been young then, eager to prove himself against the galaxy's lesser beings. Now, after countless victories, he hunted not for glory but for the purity of it. The Ravagers were the galaxy's apex predators. It was their right and duty to test other species, to dominate them, to prove their superiority. "Set course for the signal source," Frost commanded. "Standard hunting formation. I want all ships ready for the first demonstration of power." The bridge crew responded with eager growls of approval. A new hunt was beginning. As the fleet changed direction, Frost accessed the historical records. The Ravagers had conquered species with powerful energy weapons, with massive fleets, even with psychic abilities. Each time, their natural superiority had proven decisive. Their bodies could survive in space without suits for short periods. Their minds could process combat situations faster than any computer. They were living weapons, evolved over millions of years to be the perfect hunters. The fleet's archives held recordings of every species they had encountered. Some fought back with desperate courage. Others begged for mercy. Many tried to flee. In the end, it made no difference. The Ravagers always won. It was the natural order of things. "Commander," Steele reported, "our forward scouts have detected artificial satellites orbiting the third planet of a yellow star. Basic communication devices, primitive sensor arrays, and what appear to be weapons platforms." Frost studied the data with interest. "They've militarized their orbit. Good. They understand the concept of warfare, at least. This won't be completely boring." He zoomed in on images of the satellites. Their design was functional but unrefined, exactly what he expected from a young species. The commander sent orders through the fleet. They would begin with their traditional opening move, destroying a few satellites to demonstrate their power, then waiting to see how the prey reacted. Most species responded with panic or desperate diplomatic attempts. The truly interesting ones tried to fight back, giving the Ravagers a chance to enjoy the hunt before the inevitable victory. "All ships report ready," Steele announced. "The prey's detection systems haven't noticed us yet. Our stealth fields are holding." Frost nodded in satisfaction. "Let's introduce ourselves to our new prey. Launch the first strike in 1 hour. I want precision hits on their largest satellites. Show them what they're dealing with." His crew responded with eager efficiency, preparing for the attack. The commander returned to the viewport, watching the distant star grow larger. Another hunt was beginning. Another species would learn their place in the galaxy. The Ravagers had never known defeat, had never met a species that could truly challenge them. They were about to learn that the galaxy still held surprises. The first strike came without warning. 3 of Earth's largest communication satellites exploded in perfect synchronization, creating brief, bright flashes in the night sky. At United Earth Defense Force headquarters, alarms blared as screens lit up with emergency signals. Admiral James stood at the command center's main window, his weathered face illuminated by flashing red lights. He'd spent 30 years preparing Earth for this moment. "Show me the attack pattern," he ordered calmly. The holographic display highlighted the destroyed satellites and the incredibly precise energy beams that had taken them out. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "the shots came from beyond our detection range. These weren't missiles or known weapons. They just appeared." The young officer's voice shook slightly, but he kept his composure. James smiled slightly. "They're showing off," he said, "trying to scare us with their superiority." He turned to face his command staff. "Implement Protocol Dark Shield. Let them think we're panicking." Across Earth's orbit, military satellites appeared to scramble in disarray. Civilian communications became chaotic, filled with confused emergency signals. To any watching eyes, humanity seemed to be reacting exactly as expected, with fear and disorder. On the Ravager command ship, Commander Frost watched the chaos with satisfaction. "See how they scatter," he told his crew. "Like prey animals when the predator's shadow falls over them." His officers growled in agreement, their claws twitching with anticipation. But something wasn't quite right. Steele, his second-in-command, noticed it first. "Commander," he said, "look at their military movements." The pattern. He paused, struggling to identify what bothered him. Frost studied the displays more carefully. Behind the apparent chaos, Earth's orbital defenses were shifting into new positions, not retreating, but advancing. That made no sense. Prey was supposed to run. Deep underground, Admiral James walked through a massive chamber filled with rows of mechanical suits. Each stood 3 times human height, their dark metal surfaces absorbing the light. Engineers made final adjustments while pilots did their pre-launch checks. "Remember," James addressed the pilots, "we've trained for this. Let them think their attack scared us. Let them think we're primitive and weak." He stopped beside one of the suits, placing his hand on its armor. Humanity built these war machines knowing that somewhere out there, predators would come hunting. The pilots nodded. They'd spent years practicing in secret, preparing for the day Earth would face its first alien threat. Their combat suits combined the best of human engineering, strength, speed, and adaptability. Most importantly, they were completely different from anything the galaxy had seen before. Back on the Ravager ship, Frost prepared for the next phase. "Target their lunar outpost," he ordered. "A small strike force should be enough for such weak prey." 3 hunter-killer ships detached from the fleet, their crews eager for combat. What the Ravagers didn't know was that humans had spotted their ships days ago. Earth's apparent primitive detection systems were a carefully crafted deception. Behind the moon, hidden by new stealth technology, Earth's real defense fleet waited. "Let them hit the decoy base," James told his officers. "Our lunar forces know the plan." The Admiral checked the latest intelligence reports. The alien ships were exactly where they wanted them, following humanity's script perfectly. The Ravager strike force approached the moon, their sensors showing only a small, poorly defended mining operation. They expected another easy victory, another chance to demonstrate their species' superiority. They didn't know they were flying into a trap generations in the making. Humanity had looked up at the stars not with fear, but with preparation. They had built their technology knowing that one day they would need to fight. As the alien ships entered lunar orbit, James gave a simple order: begin Operation First Lesson. Across the lunar surface, hidden bay doors began to open. The trap was ready. The Ravagers were about to learn that their newest prey had teeth of its own. Earth's response would show these galactic predators something they had never seen before, a prey that had been waiting for them, planning for them, ready to fight back in ways they couldn't imagine. The 3 Ravager ships swooped toward the lunar base, their weapons charged and ready. The crews felt no fear. They had done this countless times before. Their scanners showed only basic defenses and a handful of primitive structures. It would be over in minutes. The first sign that something was wrong came when their sensors suddenly went dark. At first, the Ravager crews thought it was some kind of simple jamming attempt. Then they saw them, massive shapes rising from the lunar surface, throwing off concealment covers that had made them look like ordinary moon rocks. Evasive action. The lead ship's captain roared, but it was too late. The human combat suits moved with impossible speed in the low gravity, their magnetic boots allowing perfect control. Each suit carried weapons specifically designed for space combat, tested and refined over decades of preparation. Inside his combat suit, Lieutenant Reed smiled as he launched the first counterattack. His suit's arms opened up, revealing not simple weapons, but a complex web of magnetic pulse generators. The Ravager ships tried to turn, their crews suddenly realizing they had flown straight into a trap. The human attack came from all directions. Combat suits launched from hidden bunkers across the lunar surface, their movements coordinated with years of practice. They didn't just fight. They danced through space, using the moon's low gravity to perform maneuvers the Ravagers had never seen before. On his command ship, Frost watched in growing disbelief as the feed from his strike force turned to chaos. "Impossible," he growled, his claws digging into his command chair. "They're supposed to be primitive prey." The tactical display showed his ships being swarmed by human warriors in machines that moved like they were born in space. The battle was unlike anything the Ravagers had encountered in their thousands of years of hunting. Their ships were designed to fight other ships, not these agile, humanoid-shaped weapons that could dodge energy beams and strike from point-blank range. The humans had built their weapons specifically to counter the Ravagers' natural advantages. "Target their joints." Reed commanded his squad. "Remember your training. They think in straight lines, so move in curves." His suit spun through space, magnetic grapples latching onto a Ravager ship's hull. The alien's armor, so effective against energy weapons, provided no defense against the precise vibration frequencies the humans had developed. The first Ravager ship went dark as human-designed electromagnetic pulses shut down its systems. The second tried to retreat but found itself caught in a web of magnetic fields, its crew unable to comprehend how their primitive prey had developed such effective tactics. The third ship managed to fire off a distress signal before multiple combat suits landed on its hull. The human pilots moved like they had trained for this moment their entire lives, because they had. Humanity had spent generations preparing for this fight, studying the stars, and building weapons to defend their world. In his command center, Admiral James watched the battle through secure feeds. "Send the data to all Earth Defense Forces," he ordered. "Let everyone see that they can be beaten." The victory would do more than just protect the lunar base. It would show humanity that their preparations had worked. Frost stood in shocked silence as the final images from his strike force came through. His most experienced hunters had been defeated not by superior strength or advanced technology, but by preparation and adaptation. The humans hadn't just gotten lucky. They had known exactly how to fight his forces. "All ships, battle stations," Frost finally ordered, his voice heavy with rage. "Prepare for full assault. We will not be humiliated by mere prey." But even as he gave the order, a new feeling crept into his mind: doubt. For the first time in his long life, the commander of the galaxy's greatest hunting fleet wondered if they had underestimated their target. The humans were already preparing for the larger battle to come. Around the moon, more combat suits emerged from hidden bases. In orbit around Earth, defensive platforms that had appeared primitive and weak began revealing their true capabilities. Humanity had shown their first card, but they had many more surprises waiting. Deep within Earth's most secure research facility, Dr. Miller walked through a lab filled with pieces of the captured Ravager ship. Engineers worked day and night, taking apart alien technology and combining it with human innovations. The air hummed with energy as scientists tested new weapons and defenses. "Show me what you've learned," Miller told her team, stopping beside a massive holographic display. The screen showed detailed scans of Ravager biology, their armor, their enhanced senses, their neural patterns. What the aliens thought made them invincible, humanity saw as a puzzle to be solved. One of her scientists pointed to a neural scan. "Look at their brain structure," he explained. "They think faster than us, but always in the same patterns. They can't adapt quickly to new situations." He brought up combat footage from the lunar battle. "See, when our suits did something unexpected, they kept trying their standard tactics instead of changing strategy." Miller nodded, her eyes fixed on the data. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for alien contact, but not by trying to copy alien methods. Instead, they had focused on being unpredictable, on finding new ways to fight. Now, that preparation was paying off. In orbit, Admiral James watched as his engineers attached captured Ravager weapons to human ships. But they weren't just using the alien technology. They were improving it. Where the Ravagers built weapons for pure power, humans added flexibility. Where aliens relied on strength, humans added cunning. "Their armor has a weakness," a young engineer reported, showing James a detailed analysis. "It's strongest against direct attacks, but vulnerable to certain vibration frequencies. We've modified our sonic weapons to exploit this." Similar discoveries were being made every hour as humanity's greatest minds worked to understand their enemy. On his command ship, Frost paced angrily through corridors filled with battle damage. The human counterattack had done more than destroy ships. It had shaken the Ravagers' confidence. Their natural armor, once thought impenetrable, had been breached by human weapons that seemed to adapt and improve with each encounter. "How do they learn so fast?" Steele asked, watching repair crews work. "Every time we change tactics, they have a new response ready within hours." The second in command had never seen anything like it. The humans didn't fight like normal prey. They fought like they had been studying the Ravagers for years. In fact, humanity had been preparing for this moment since they first looked at the stars and realized they might not be alone. They had built their technology to be adaptable, their weapons to be flexible, their strategies to be unpredictable. Where the Ravagers evolved through biology, humans evolved through innovation. Miller's team made another breakthrough while studying the alien ship's remains. "Their communications are based on quantum entanglement," she explained to Admiral James through a secure channel. "But they use fixed frequencies. We can disrupt them." It was another advantage, another way to turn the alien strength into a weakness. The Ravagers had spent millennia becoming the perfect predators. Their bodies were weapons, their ships were feared across the galaxy. But they had never faced a species that turned their own advantages against them. They had never fought an enemy that improved faster than they could attack. "Begin mass production," James ordered after reviewing the latest weapons tests. "I want every ship and combat suit upgraded within 48 hours. Humanity's industrial capability, hidden from the initial alien scans, now worked at full speed. Factories that had been disguised as simple manufacturing plants revealed their true purpose. Frost received reports of human ships appearing with new weapons, new defenses, new tactics. Each encounter showed him more of humanity's true nature. They weren't just fighting back. They were learning, adapting, evolving their strategies with each battle. His species had never faced anything like this. In her lab, Miller looked at a final set of test results and smiled. "Send word to Admiral James," she told her staff. "Project Lightning is ready." The humans had finished their greatest adaptation of Ravager technology, something that would show the aliens that their reign as the galaxy's apex predators was about to end. The stars seemed to bend as the entire Ravager fleet jumped into Earth's orbit, Hundreds of warships filled the sky, their black hulls blocking out starlight. Commander Frost stood at his bridge viewport, watching Earth's blue sphere. This would be the final battle. He would teach these humans their place in the galaxy. All ships in attack formation. Steele reported. The humans' defense platforms are powering up. The tactical display showed Earth's orbital defenses, which now looked very different from the primitive systems they'd first seen. The humans had been busy. Frost gave the order to attack. Energy beams lanced out from his ships, powerful enough to crack planets. But something strange happened. The beams curved away from their targets, bent by invisible forces. The humans had learned to manipulate the very fabric of space around their platforms. In his command center, Admiral James watched the Ravager fleet with calm eyes. "Begin Operation Lightning," he ordered. Across Earth's orbit, hidden satellites activated. They didn't fire weapons. Instead, they created a web of electromagnetic fields, tuned to the exact frequency Dr. Miller had discovered in the Ravager's neural patterns. The effect was instant. Across the Ravager fleet, crews stumbled as their enhanced senses began to fail. Their natural armor, which used bioelectric fields for strength, weakened. The humans had found their greatest weakness. The very biology that made them superior predators could be turned against them. Status report. Frost roared as his ship's systems flickered. His crew fought to maintain control, but their bodies weren't responding properly. The humans hadn't just adapted to fight Ravager technology. They had found a way to attack the Ravager species itself. Earth's defense fleet emerged from hiding, led by upgraded combat suits twice the size of the ones from the lunar battle. They moved through space like dancers, their weapons precisely tuned to exploit every weakness Dr. Miller's team had discovered. The Ravagers tried to fight back, but their usual perfect coordination was shattered. Multiple ships disabled, Steele reported, his voice shaking. "Our neural networks are being disrupted. We can't coordinate our attacks." The mighty hunting fleet, which had never known defeat, was being pulled apart by an enemy that understood them better than they understood themselves. James gave the order to advance. Human ships moved in complex patterns, never attacking the same way twice. The Ravagers' superior reflexes, instead of helping them, made them more vulnerable to the electromagnetic disruption. Every adaptation that had made them perfect predators was becoming a weakness. Frost watched in horror as his fleet fell into chaos. Ships crashed into each other as their crews lost fine control. The humans' weapons weren't just destroying ships, they were humiliating the mighty Ravager species. For the first time in their history, the hunters had become the hunted. Impossible. Frost slammed his fist into his command console. "We are the apex predators. We cannot be defeated by prey." But even as he spoke, more of his ships went dark, their crews helpless against weapons designed specifically to counter their biology. The human fleet moved with perfect coordination, their tactics changing constantly. When the Ravagers adapted to one attack pattern, the humans immediately switched to another. They fought like they had spent generations planning this battle, because they had. Miller watched from her lab as data poured in. "The electromagnetic web is working better than expected," she told James through the command link. "Their neural networks are completely disrupted. They can't even use their advanced senses anymore." The mighty predators had been reduced to fighting with basic instincts. As his fleet crumbled around him, Frost finally understood. The humans hadn't just prepared for war. They had prepared specifically to fight the Ravagers. Every weakness had been studied, every strength turned into a vulnerability. They had done what no species had ever done before. They had outthought the galaxy's greatest hunters. James gave the order for the final phase. Across Earth's orbit, thousands of smaller ships appeared, each carrying specialized weapons. The Ravager fleet, once proud and unstoppable, now faced a force that had stripped away every advantage they had evolved over millions of years. The age of the predators was ending, brought down by prey that had learned to fight back. Admiral James stood on the bridge of Earth's new flagship, watching the holographic display of known Ravager space. The ship, built using a combination of human innovation and captured alien technology, represented humanity's greatest achievement. Its hull gleamed with a special coating that absorbed both energy weapons and scanning beams. "The Ravager fleet is in full retreat," his tactical officer reported. "Their remaining ships are jumping to different systems, but they're not coordinating their movements anymore. Their command structure seems to be breaking down." The defeat at Earth had shattered more than just their fleet. It had broken their confidence. In the depths of space, Commander Frost's damaged flagship limped through the darkness. His mighty hunting fleet was scattered, his warriors demoralized. The humans hadn't just beaten them. They had taken everything that made the Ravagers superior and turned it against them. His crew jumped at shadows now, afraid of what new weapons the humans might unleash. Multiple human ships detected. Steele's voice shook as he gave the report. The tactical display showed Earth vessels appearing from multiple directions. They weren't using brute force anymore. They were hunting, using the very tactics the Ravagers had perfected over millennia. James had studied the Ravager psychology extensively. "Send the message," he ordered. Every human ship broadcast the same signal, recordings of Ravager crews panicking during the Earth battle, their mighty hunters reduced to confused prey. The psychological impact was devastating. Across Ravager space, their carefully organized hunting grounds fell into chaos. Lower-ranking warriors began questioning their leaders. If their natural superiority meant nothing against the humans, what else had their commanders been wrong about? The rigid hierarchy that had kept their society stable for thousands of years started to crack. "They're not just defeating us," Steele told Frost, watching another Ravager outpost fall to human forces. "They're hunting us, using our own methods, but better." The humans had learned from every encounter, adapting their tactics faster than the Ravagers could respond. Their weapons struck at both body and mind. Miller's research team had made another breakthrough. "Their pack mentality is their greatest weakness now," she explained to James through a secure channel. "When we break their confidence, the entire command structure falls apart. They can't handle being prey." It was the final piece of human strategy, turning the hunter's own nature against them. The human fleet moved through space like a well-coordinated pack, but with a flexibility the Ravagers could never match. Each ship could change tactics instantly, adapting to new situations without needing orders. Where the Ravagers rely on rigid command structures, humans empowered their crews to think independently. Frost watched another battle group fall to human attacks. The reports were all the same. The humans would appear suddenly, strike with weapons that ignored Ravager defenses, and vanish before they could respond. His species had spent millennia perfecting the art of the hunt, only to find themselves outmatched by former prey. "They're not trying to destroy us," Steele realized, studying the attack patterns. "They're hurting us." The human fleet was systematically pushing surviving Ravager ships towards specific systems, using fear and precision strikes instead of brute force. It was a hunting technique executed perfectly. James's strategy was working exactly as planned. "The Ravagers understand dominance," he told his fleet commanders. "So we'll show them true dominance, not through strength alone, but through superior thinking." Each human victory sent a message. The age of simple predators was over. In the remnants of his once mighty fleet, Frost faced a terrible truth. The humans hadn't just prepared for war, they had revolutionized it. They fought with their minds first, using strength only when needed. His species had evolved to be perfect hunters, but humanity had evolved something far more dangerous: the ability to turn any weapon, any tactic, any advantage against its user. The human fleet pressed forward, pushing deeper into Ravager space. They didn't need to destroy their enemy. They simply needed to show them that the natural order they had believed in for so long was an illusion. The greatest predators in the galaxy were learning what it meant to be hunted by prey that had become something entirely new. The Ravager homeworld hung in space like a dark jewel, its surface covered in massive cities built from black metal and stone. For thousands of years, hunting fleets had departed from this world to dominate the galaxy. Now, for the first time, enemy ships appeared in its skies. The combined fleet of humanity had arrived. Admiral James stood on his flagship's bridge, looking at detailed scans of the planet below. The remaining Ravager ships had gathered for a final stand, forming a defensive line around their homeworld. But there was disorder in their formation, fear in their movements. They weren't the confident predators anymore. Commander Frost watched the human fleet with dread. His species had never imagined this moment, their homeworld threatened by creatures they had once considered prey. "We fight to the end," he told his remaining warriors. "We die as hunters." But even as he spoke, he wondered if there might be another way. The humans didn't attack immediately. Instead, they'd broadcast a message to every Ravager ship and city. Admiral James's voice echoed across their communications. "We did not come to destroy you. We came to show you a better way." The words were followed by images. Peaceful worlds where different species worked together. Civilizations that grew stronger through cooperation instead of domination. Miller's research had revealed something surprising about the Ravagers. Their drive to hunt isn't just about killing, she had told James. It's about proving superiority. We can offer them a new way to be superior, through wisdom instead of strength. It was a gamble, but humanity had studied their enemy well enough to understand their deepest motivations. In his command center, Frost watched the human message spread through his society. The lower ranks, already shaken by defeat, began questioning centuries of tradition. The humans were offering something no species had ever offered the Ravagers before. A chance to evolve beyond simple predators. "Look at their ships," Steele told his commander. "They could destroy us, but they choose not to. Perhaps that is a greater strength than hunting." The second-in-command spoke for many Ravagers who had seen their perfect warfare undone by human innovation and mercy. James waited patiently as the Ravager leadership debated. His fleet maintained position, their weapons powered down but ready. Humanity had prepared for this moment too. The chance to show that true strength lay not in destroying enemies, but in transforming them into allies. Deep in the Ravager capital, their ruling council faced an impossible choice. Their society had been built on the principle of natural superiority through strength. But the humans had proven that adaptability, innovation, and wisdom were greater strengths. Slowly, painfully, the mighty hunters began to understand. Frost made his decision. Breaking centuries of tradition, he opened a direct channel to the human flagship. "We have been blind," he told James. "We thought being apex predators made us superior. You showed us that true superiority comes from rising above mere predation." The words cost him deeply, but they carried the weight of truth. The human fleet received the Ravagers' surrender with dignity. There were no celebrations, no displays of triumph. Instead, James sent teams of scientists, engineers, and diplomats to the surface. Humanity would help the Ravagers build something new, a civilization based on more than just hunting and killing. In the years that followed, the galaxy changed. The Ravagers learned to use their strength to protect instead of dominate. Their ancient hunting fleets became peacekeepers. Their warriors learned to build instead of destroy. And at the center of this transformation stood humanity. The species that had proven wisdom was the greatest strength of all. Frost, now working alongside Miller in a joint research facility, often looked back on that final battle. "We thought we were teaching the galaxy about strength," he told her. "Instead, you taught us about power. True power isn't in making others fear you. It's in helping them become better." The human victory had done more than save Earth. It had shown the galaxy a new path forward. The age of predators was over, replaced by an era of cooperation and growth. Humanity's greatest weapon had not been their technology or their tactics. It had been their ability to imagine a better way.